My name is Emily Johnson. I am 27 years old, and this is the story of how love destroyed me. When I was a little girl, I used to dream about marriage the way every young girl does. I imagined a prince who would hold my hand, protect me from the world, and love me endlessly. I thought love was supposed to be gentle, soft, and kind. I thought marriage was supposed to be the happiest chapter of a woman's life. I never imagined that my own story would be written in bruises, silence, and tears. I grew up in London, in a small house filled with warmth and laughter. My parents loved me dearly, and though we were not rich, I was always told that I deserved happiness. My mother used to brush my hair every night and say, "One day, a good man will marry you, Emily, and he will treat you like a queen." I carried that belief with me like a sacred truth. When I turned 25, I met Daniel. He was charming, handsome, and at first, everything I thought I wanted. He had a deep voice, confident eyes, and a way of making me feel like I was the most special woman in the room. He worked in finance, had a good job, and my family approved of him instantly. I thought I was the luckiest girl in the world when he asked me to marry him. The first few months after our wedding felt like a dream. We lived in a beautiful apartment in Manchester, and I would wake up every morning thinking I was finally living the fairy tale my mother promised. He bought me gifts, took me to dinners, and held my hand when we walked in public. I thought, this is love. This is marriage. This is forever. But fairy tales are lies. The first time he hit me, I still remember every detail. It was a rainy evening. I was talking on the phone with my best friend, Anna. We were laughing about something silly, and Daniel walked into the room. His eyes darkened when he saw me on the phone. "Who are you talking to?" he asked, his voice sharp. "Anna," I smiled, holding up the phone as if that would prove my honesty. "Didn't I tell you I don't like you talking on the phone when I come home?" His words sliced through the air. I froze, confused. "But it's just Anna." Before I could finish, his hand struck my face. The sound echoed louder than thunder in that room. My phone slipped from my hands, crashing to the floor. My cheek burned, my eyes filled with tears, and my heart shattered into pieces. I stood there, trembling. I couldn't believe what had just happened. This was Daniel, the man I trusted, the man I loved, the man who had promised to protect me. And yet, he had just raised his hand against me. He didn't even apologize. Instead, he said coldly, "You need to learn respect. I don't want you wasting your time with people who mean nothing." That night, I cried silently into my pillow. I told myself it was just one time, just a mistake. Maybe he was tired, maybe he was stressed from work. Maybe it was my fault. I was desperate to believe in the love story I had built in my head. But it wasn't just one time. A week later, he hit me again, this time because dinner was late. Then again because I wore lipstick when we went out. Then again because I wanted to visit my parents. Every time, the reason was smaller, sillier, more meaningless. And every time, I cried silently, convincing myself that things would get better. They never did. Daniel started putting restrictions on me. He didn't like me going out without his permission. He didn't want me to see my friends. He didn't let me talk to my parents as often as I used to. Slowly, my world shrank until it was just him and his anger, him and his rules, him and his violence. He controlled the clothes I wore, the people I spoke to, even the way I smiled. If I laughed too loudly, he would scold me. If I asked him too many questions, he would glare at me until I fell silent. My life became a prison, and Daniel was the guard holding the keys. I remember one evening when Anna called me again. I hesitated before answering, knowing the risk, but I missed her voice. I spoke softly, hoping he wouldn't notice. But he walked in, and his face twisted with rage. He grabbed the phone from my hand, threw it against the wall, and it shattered into pieces. "How many times have I told you not to disobey me?" he shouted. Then he pushed me so hard that I fell against the table, bruising my arm. I lay there on the floor, clutching my arm, while he towered over me. "If you ever talk to her again, I swear I'll make you regret it." That night, I sat in the bathroom, staring at the bruise on my arm. My reflection in the mirror was unrecognizable red eyes, trembling lips, and a face that no longer belonged to the happy girl who once believed in love. And yet, I stayed. Why? Because I was afraid. Afraid of leaving, afraid of what people would say, afraid of being alone. He had convinced me that no one would believe me, that no one would care. "You're nothing without me," he would whisper after hitting me, as if trying to bury those words into my soul. I started wearing long sleeves to hide the bruises. I started putting extra makeup on to cover the marks on my face. I smiled at neighbors, laughed with relatives, and pretended everything was perfect. No one knew that behind closed doors, I was a prisoner in my own home. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The abuse never stopped, it only grew worse. He would hit me for the smallest mistakes, scream at me for hours, and lock me in the bedroom when he was angry. I was no longer a wife, no longer a woman, I was just a broken shadow of myself. Sometimes I would sit by the window at night, staring at the stars, and wonder, is this my life now? Is this what love has become? The truth is, I was dying a little every day. My name is Emily Johnson, and I am 27 years old. People see me smile, but they don't know the truth. They don't know that behind my smile is pain, behind my silence is fear, and behind my marriage is abuse. Daniel never stopped hitting me. In fact, with every passing day, his cruelty only grew. He wasn't just hurting me physically, he was destroying me piece by piece, stripping away my identity, my self-respect, and my hope for the future. There were days when I would wake up with bruises on my arms, marks on my face, and scars on my heart. Yet I still forced myself to cook breakfast, to smile when neighbors visited, and to act like everything was fine. Society expects women to stay silent, to protect their marriages no matter the cost. And so, I suffered in silence. The restrictions on my life grew tighter. Daniel didn't want me to work, even though I had studied business and once dreamed of opening my own shop. "A wife doesn't need to work," he said coldly. "Your job is to serve me." He didn't let me visit my parents. When my mother fell sick, I begged him to let me see her. Instead, he laughed and said, "They don't matter anymore. I am your family now." His words cut deeper than any slap. I cried all night, holding my phone in my hands, wishing I could call my mother just to hear her voice. But I couldn't. Daniel controlled every part of me. He chose my clothes, forbade me from wearing makeup, and even dictated how long I could stay in the shower. "I don't want you wasting water," he snapped once, as if my existence itself was a burden. But the worst part wasn't the restrictions. It wasn't even the hitting. It was the way he made me believe I was worthless. After every fight, after every bruise, he would whisper in my ear, "No one will love you. No one will want you. You're nothing without me." And slowly, I began to believe him. One night, after he hit me harder than ever before, I locked myself in the bathroom. My lip was bleeding, my body trembling. I sat on the cold floor, hugging my knees, staring at the cracked tiles. I felt so small, so invisible. For the first time, I thought about ending my life. But then I remembered my mother's face, her gentle words, "One day, a good man will marry you, Emily, and he will treat you like a queen." That dream had already been shattered, but I couldn't bear the thought of leaving her with the guilt of losing me. So I wiped my tears, cleaned my wounds, and stepped back into the prison I called marriage. Days turned into months. Daniel's violence became routine. He would drink, get angry, and then hit me for things that didn't even make sense. If I spoke too softly, he shouted. If I spoke too loudly, he slapped me. If I didn't speak at all, he accused me of being disrespectful. There was no winning. I began to feel like a ghost in my own home. One evening, Anna came to visit. It had been months since I last saw her. When she hugged me, she noticed the marks on my arm, even though I had tried to hide them with long sleeves. "Emily, what's happening to you?" she whispered, her eyes full of worry. I shook my head quickly, forcing a smile. "Nothing. I'm fine." But she wasn't convinced. "This isn't you. I know something's wrong." Before I could answer, Daniel walked into the room. His eyes narrowed at the sight of Anna. "Why are you here?" he snapped. Anna stuttered, I just came to see Emily." He didn't even look at me. He grabbed my arm tightly, pulling me toward the bedroom. "You know the rules," he hissed in my ear. Then, in front of her, he slammed the door shut. That night, he beat me so badly I couldn't walk properly the next day. "This is what happens when you disobey me," he growled. I wanted to scream, to cry out for help, but I stayed silent. Fear had chained my voice. The abuse continued like this until one night, everything changed. It was winter. The air outside was freezing, and snow covered the streets. Inside, the house was heavy with silence. Daniel came home drunk, his footsteps loud and angry. I had cooked dinner, but it was slightly late because I wasn't feeling well. When he saw the table, his face twisted with rage. "Late again?" he roared. "I'm sorry," I whispered, my voice shaking. I wasn't feeling well. Before I could finish, his hand hit me across the face. I stumbled, knocking over a glass that shattered on the floor. He didn't stop there. He kept hitting me, pushing me, shouting words I can never forget. "You're useless. You're worthless. I should have never married you. With every word, he broke me more. I curled up on the floor, covering my face, wishing it would all just stop. But he didn't stop until I lay there, sobbing, my body aching, my soul shattered. That night, when he finally left the room, I lay on the cold floor for hours. My tears dried, but the pain remained. I realized then that this wasn't love. This was torture. This was prison. This was death in slow motion. I thought about leaving. I thought about running to my parents, to Anna, to anyone who would listen. But his words echoed in my head, no one will believe you. No one will want you. You're nothing without me. And I believed him. So I stayed. Days passed, then weeks. My body healed, but my heart did not. I stopped looking in the mirror because I didn't recognize the woman staring back. I stopped dreaming about the future because there was no future left for me. The last time he hit me, it was different. It was worse. It was a Sunday afternoon. The sun was shining outside, children were playing in the street, and laughter filled the neighborhood. But inside my home, there was only darkness. Daniel accused me of speaking to a man on the street. I hadn't. I was simply watering the plants near the window. But he didn't believe me. His anger exploded, and he hit me harder than ever before. Something inside me broke that day, not just my body, but my spirit. I realized that the Emily I once was, the girl who dreamed of love, the girl who believed in happiness, no longer existed. She was gone. And in her place stood a broken woman who had nothing left to give. I am Emily Johnson, and I am 27 years old. And this is my truth. My husband hits me. He controls me. He abuses me. And he has broken me forever. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment and share. More emotional and inspiring stories are coming soon.